So in yesterday's class, we have discussed about the variable in any programming language in this case, like whether it is a Java or whether it is a Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, and all whatever. So there will be three phases in every language. So every variable will have three phases in the life cycle: declare, initialize, and use it. Okay. Now, what is meant by declaration? What is meant by declaration and what is meant by initialization and all, right? Okay, now declaration of a variable is nothing but registration. First, like whenever you want to use the variables in the program, first thing that what we have to do is, okay, first get those variables registered in the program. Okay, registered in the program. So when you do the registration, nothing but declaration. A technical term is declaration. So when you declare the variable, that means the variable will be registered in the program internally. Okay, na? So when you register the variable, then there will be some memory will be allocated for that variable. Nothing but the space will be allocated. Then initialization. Okay, initialization. So initialization means assigning the value to the variable. So declaring means just, okay, so there will be space created, that's it. After that, what you have to do? Assign the value to the variable. Okay, so you have to assign the value to the variable. Whatever the value that you want to store in the variable, assign that. That is called as initialization. Okay, initialization. The third one is usage. That means when you start writing the logics and the code and all, then start using the variables. That's it. Okay, so these are three phases of the variable in every programming language. Remember that. So it's quite common. Okay. Now we will go with one by one how the variables get registered and how to do the initialization. Here, if you observe what I did here in the program, yesterday program, I'm continuing here. This code was written already yesterday. Okay, so now you say A equal to 8, B equal to 3. I'm directly assigning the values, right? I'm directly assigning the values. This is normally called as an initialization. Actually, I have not declared the variable here. So declaration is not done actually. I have directly assigned the value. But in JavaScript, this is allowed. You see that it was working. Even let me run the code again. Like, okay, so yesterday I have run the code. Let me rerun the code again. I'm opening the terminal. And what is the command that we use for running the code? We have to use something called node. And then you have to give the name of the file. First program dot extension also you have to give JS. You can see that output is coming. Now here, what I did actually is initializing the variable. This is called initialization. But in real time, this is not recommended. We should not do like this. Though JavaScript is accepting this, but you should not do like this. This is not the recommended approach. Okay, why? Because if you don't declare first and if you directly start using it, people, you see, you will be only person who will be working in the project normally. Will you be only person? No, right? There will be multiple people working in the same project and even they will be writing the code and all. So if you write like this and other people also writing the code, even they will use the variables and all, right? And there will be a chances that even they will give the same variable names as like you, and it will become duplicate and it will lead to some defects because you are writing the program and you have given one variable and other person given the same variable name. Such cases it will overwrite and then okay, so it will lead to a lot of duplicates and unnecessary overriding the values and all, right? So it becomes very complex. Okay, so that's the reason normally this is not the recommended approach. So we should never use the variables, though JavaScript is accepting the variables like this, but it is not recommended. Okay, so remember that one of the standard that we set is in every project, declare the variables before you use it. Declare the variable before you initialize it. Okay, then how do I declare the variables? What is the best way? How I can declare the variables? To declare the variables in JavaScript, we have three keywords. Okay, so we have to use three keywords. We have three keywords. Out of three, one is not recommended again, like not recommended to use it. But still, many of the people use that, or in old projects, we still have that keyword. Okay, So ideally, in these days, people whoever is using JavaScript normally use only two keywords out of three, whatever I tell now. So one is not so recommended. Okay, but still we have to see because old projects are still using that keyword. What are those keywords? Is one is called var, 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 one keyword. Second one is called let. One is var, second one is let. Third one is called constant. Var, let, constant. So we const, constant. So we have three keywords to declare the variable. You can use either var, or you can use let, or you can use constant. Okay. Then what is the difference between those? Why do we have three keywords to declare the variables? So this is also another very important interview question as well. So what makes difference between let and constant? What makes difference between var and let? Is var recommended to use? If you say no, then why? Why don't you prefer var? Okay. Then when a let is already there, why var is still exist? When you say that that is not recommended to use, why it is still exist? Okay. Out of this, normally var was first introduced when the JavaScript was introduced in the beginning. Only var was there. In the beginning versions of the JavaScript, only var was there. This let and constant keywords, let and constant keywords added later versions of the JavaScript. Why var is still there, though it is not recommended? We will see that, but why var is recommended, not recommended, and why var is still there? I'm saying that var, we don't use the var keyword normally in real time, but why it is still there when it is not recommended? Because as I told, when var was introduced in the, when JavaScript was introduced, then var was there from the beginning. Later, let and constant were used. By the time let and constants are introduced, var was already been used in many of the projects. The projects, whatever were using JavaScript, in all those projects, what keyword people were using? Var keyword. Okay, var keyword. Now, if they remove var, because let has been introduced, if they remove var, what will happen? All the projects which were already using var will be impacted. And again, everybody have to go back and go change every variable. That will become huge, right? So that's why still, like, a lot of the old projects are still using var because they can't go and change the, code every time, right? So because it's been used from quite a long time. Okay, but let's see how we use that first. How do we declare the variable using those keywords? It's simple. Okay, so what we do is to declare the variable, before you initialize it, first you have to use a keyword called var. First we use var. Okay, so you have to use var. Remember, if it is a keyword, it automatically turns out into blue colored. Okay, now var a. Var a. Since it is a AI, it is automatically populating. It is observing the remaining variable, lines, and then it automatically declaring the moment you add the statement. If you disable the AI manually, we have to write everything. Okay, var a and var b. Okay, that's it. This is how you declare. Simple. Just we are declaring. Earlier, if you observe, when we did not declare that, there were some errors coming there. It was showing some errors. Now those errors are gone because now since you have declared the variable early, it is recognizing those variables. Okay. Now, another command that what you can use is let. Let. Okay. Same like var. So in the place of var, use let. Let also does the same thing. Okay. So same thing, like, okay, so no, since the logic is same, that whatever we have written, then same output. We have declared the variable. Now you see, like, almost the same. In the place of let, you used var. Okay. And you also have constant. I'll come back to that constant for a while. So because you can't compare constant with let, the purpose is different. Let and var almost same, look same. Okay. But constant is little different in terms of behavior. So I'll come back to the constant. Instead of using two lines for declaration and initialization, can I do both declaration and initialization in same line? Can I do both declaration and initialization in same line? Answer is yes, you can do. How we can do that? Okay, so instead of doing like this, you come here and then you do this. Okay, so let A equal to 8 and B equal to 3. Now you see declaration and initialization. First, I'm doing declaration, then I'm doing initialization. Both I'm doing in single line now. This is allowed. Now, earlier I was taking 20 lines for 10 variables. Now that has been reduced to 10 lines. Lines of code is reduced, but I'm still not happy. I'm still not happy. Why? Because still 10 lines become huge for me. I mean, 10 lines is too big for me still. Okay. So, what should I do further? How can I reduce this further? Now, like 10 variables, 10 lines, right? But can I declare and initialize multiple variables in single line? Huh? Can I declare multiple variables in single line? If I can do that, lines of code can be reduced, right? Huh? So I can do that. So how I can do? So remove this here. And here, instead of ending semicolon for each variable, use comma. So like that. Now, 10 variables can take only one line. Or if you say that no, giving 10 variables in single line becomes a very lengthy line, right? Then cut down into 2 lines. So each line you can declare multiple variables. Huh? Hope everybody is understanding what I said. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Okay. Now, so you can declare multiple. Now the lines of code can be reduced in this way. Okay. Okay. So now, yeah, let and var are used for declaring. We have used let and var, but I have not told the difference between var and let practically. So to understand the exact difference between var and let, we need to start understanding something called blocks, code blocks. So we need to start understanding code blocks. Something called local, global. We need to start understanding that. So we have 3 classes, for that. Okay, so exactly 3 sessions to understand the code blocks. If you don't understand the code blocks, then you cannot understand the difference between var and let. So that's why. So I differ that the difference between var and let for now. Okay. The moment we start code block, then I will recall them. Okay. So when you're using code block, what happens when you use var? What happens when you use let? There should be a practical, explanation for that. Otherwise, you will be confused. So that's why I differ that. I'll just introduce the topic. Then when the type comes, then I will show them with examples. Okay. Yeah. So that's var and let is one of that. Now, but we need to understand the difference between constant and var and let, how constant is differed. Now you see, you have this let A, I have declared the variable and initialized. What is the value of A? Value of B? Okay. Now, after running 2 lines here, A equal to 40, B equal to 5. Now you see that what I did, in the middle of the program, I could change the value. Okay, so I'm changing the value. Now, here after some time I say A equal to 6, B equal to 2. Simple. Now, initially the variable value is something. Later I changed the value. Even after some time I changed the value. In the same program, I have changed the value multiple times for the same variable. Now let me see whether, let me run it and see whether it will accept or not. Now you can see it is actually accepting. For first, it executed 8 plus 3, 8 minus 3, and 40 into 5, 40 by 5, and 6 power 2. 6 power 2, exponentiation, power. So double star means exponentiation. Okay, it means power. Okay. Now, if you observe, we are using the variable, we have defined the variable and initialized the variable, we have given the value in the beginning. But later, like due to some conditions and some situations, the variable value is being changed in the middle of the program. Is it allowed to change the value once? Okay, so whatever the value I have given in the beginning, can I change the value in the middle of the program? Answer is yes, you can do that. Okay, you will be able to change, but depends on the keyword you're using to declare the variable. If you are using var or let keywords, you can change the value. But If you are using constant, now instead of let, what I'm doing is I'm using constant. To declare the variable, I'm using constant. Now look at what happened. Can you see that wherever I have changed the variable value, it is throwing an error? Can you see that error is there, red line? Huh? Okay, let me save this and then run this code and see how it works. Can you see that there is an error? Look at the error also. It says type error, assignment to the constant variable, where that error is line number 5, character number 3, it is called as. Okay, line number 5, it is throwing the error. Assignment is failing here. Okay, so assignment is failing. What does it mean? So so if you declare the variable with the let keyword, you will be able to change the value n number of times, anytime, n number of times, anywhere you can change. Even where also same thing. But whereas if you use the constant keyword, then you know the meaning of constant generally in general English. So same meaning you apply here. Constant means something that doesn't get changed. Okay, na? So always like, okay, so you can same meaning you apply here. So constant means like if you say that no, whatever the value I assign to this variable in the beginning, the same value has to be carried throughout. Nobody should be able to change the value. If you have such kind of situation where you say that no, the variable value should not be changed at all, then you have to declare the variable as constant. Do you understand the difference between let and constant? Okay, na? So people use either constant or let. It depends on. So this is how you have to declare the variable and we have to use the variable. Is everybody clear with this? Then we can stop this here today. Today I'll stop now. Okay, fine then. So seems like no questions.